Welcome to WarDocs 10 Good Minutes on Leadership series. In these episodes, we speak with leaders across the spectrum of military medicine to explore their thoughts, insights, and lessons learned on the unique privilege of leadership.
Welcome to our WarDocs series, 10 Good Minutes on Leadership. In these episodes, we ask leaders from across the spectrum of military medicine to share their thoughts and insights on the privilege of leadership. I'm your host, Major General Retired Sean Murphy, and today we have Brigadier General Retired Susan Pietrykowski, Pi as everyone knows her. Pi had a wonderful career as an Air Force Medical Service Corps officer, ending her career as the 21st Medical Service Corps Chief. I had the pleasure of working with her in multiple assignments, culminating with both of us working together on the air staff. She is a true friend and partner. Pi, thanks for being on the show and sharing some of your thoughts on leadership.
Oh, I'm very happy to be here, General Murphy. When you asked me, I was delighted because it's always great to spend time with you. Thank you.
I have got to say the same. So most of us have a leadership philosophy. What kind of foundational principles have shaped your approach to leadership and that philosophy?
So, as I was advancing in my Air Force career, I came up with what I call Pi's pontifications on leadership. And I tailor this for different audiences. And I use some of the pontifications as I answer various leadership questions. So, I'm going to give you a couple of those, and we'll probably hit some more as we continue in the podcast. But probably one of the most important ones is communicating early and often. Find the communication tools that work best for your team, which is even more challenging in this remote environment. Because I, like you, General Murphy, I'm a walk around kind of person. So then you have to tailor your communication based on the people you work with. And, there's generational gaps too, right? So we're in person kind of people. There's a lot of people who really prefer not to speak face to face. They're more text people or X people or, Teams message kind of people. So tailoring communication, I think, is important based on the types of folks that you're working with and how they best receive communication. Go ahead, General Murphy. I know that you're
I
going
was
to talk.
going to say, you can never over communicate. Back to you, Pi.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one of my pontifications is do only the jobs or tasks that you can do in your leadership role. And a lot of times, as a senior leader, that's up and out, which allows the folks that work under you to do the jobs and kind of develop in their roles too. One more that I'm going to talk about is modeling work-life harmony. And I intentionally didn't say balance because it's not always a balance, is it? And I had a wing commander, Colonel Mark Wetherington. He retired as a major general, but he once told me, "Hey, Pi, there's going to be times you need to be at work. There's going to be times that you need to be at home, and it's up to you to know the difference." And him empowering me to do that as a MTF commander was really, really important. At that point, I think I started modeling that pretty well, probably better than I had previously in my career. And I implemented one late night a week. It was Mondays for me because, I was sick of my family by then because we had spent the weekend together. So on Monday nights, I stayed late at work. And then the other days of the week, I tried to get out of work at a reasonable time and kind of model that harmony. So those are some of my Pi's pontifications, and we can certainly hit a few others along the way.
Those are wonderful and great advice for all of us out here. There's often unpopular decisions and other challenges that need to be overcome to get to organizational success. What strategies have you used to build that strong team, and what challenges did you face in doing so?
Yeah, I think team building is so important. And, in the Air Force, we are expected to be lifelong learners, right? And students and readers. And one of the best courses I ever took, actually, when I was the MTF commander at Langley, was called True Colors. And General Murphy, I'm a big fan of the True Colors, which is updated, kind of Myers-Briggs. And I'll just hit those real quick. I'm going to hit green first because you are a raging green. General Murphy, you like to have all the data. And I love that approach, the scientific approach. We've got golds who are checklist people and schedule people, and love to have them around. We've got blues like General Bob Miller, who just wants to take care of his team and make sure everybody's doing okay. And then there's the raging oranges like me, who just, we're searching for the party. And it is important that we build teams, looking for a cultural add versus a cultural fit. And I learned that getting people from these different backgrounds really make a stronger team. So as an orange, I really need a good gold on the team to keep me on schedule. I really need a good green to ask why and to push back on things. And I need a good blue just to make sure the team is doing okay. So once I kind of figured that out, I really was able to build stronger teams, have different perspectives. And I think that if we look for that cultural add versus cultural fit, I think, our teams that we build will be stronger and more adapt to really cover these big challenges that are coming our way in military medicine.
Yeah, it's that diversity of personality. We have so much diversity that we need, but that is one that's so important. Mentorship plays a key role in developing military medical professionals. How do you approach mentorship and how do you develop those relationships?
Mentorship is such a great topic. One of the most important things is to actually ask someone if they are willing to be your mentor, because it's a time commitment on their part. A few years back, I got some feedback from a third party that, we'll say, Lisa was kind of disappointed that I wasn't giving her enough time as a mentor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that Lisa considered me a mentor. So after you establish a rapport with someone, and have a couple of engagements, and it's a good fit, just go ahead and ask that person if they're willing to be a mentor. And then I think, it's good to have mentors. If you're on active duty, it's good to have an active duty member, maybe not necessarily in your specific career field. You can branch out. And then I have great mentors that are retired, including you, General Murphy, because, at some point you're going to transition from the military to civilian life. And then asking those folks who have done that before you, how did that transition go? And if you're looking for a job, what kind of questions should I ask? How do you negotiate for salaries? We've never had to do that before. Keeping a pretty wide span of, 3 or 4 mentors and, different phases of their lives, I think is a really good idea for folks.
It is, and I know they appreciate it as you talk to them through the years because it's not something that goes away with time. What's the most
Absolutely.
transformative experience that you've had as a leader, and how did it shape you and your leadership approach?
So, General Murphy, you were part of this. It was probably my most challenging leadership experience was leading during COVID in 2020. And the members of our staff were just exhausted beyond what I had ever seen, including when I was deployed in Iraq, because it was just, there was not an end in sight. Later in 2020, the death of George Floyd occurred, and people were just very on edge. And so I discovered that, and I had a couple of really good colonels that came to me, and they said, "Hey, we need to take some time and space just to talk about stuff." And so I discovered that even during a crushing mission, and even maybe more importantly during a crushing mission, we need to provide the space for people to have tough, crucial conversations about things weighing on their minds in ways that I hadn't done before in the Air Force. Some of those topics you just didn't talk about in the workplace. Like, I'm having a really bad day or I'm having a really bad month. I need someone to talk to. I'm not in a good headspace. And that was we didn't talk about that stuff when I was a captain. And I think it's really good that we're talking about this stuff now. And I talked about that work life harmony before. I think COVID enabled us to have an even better work life harmony as we came out of that, because I grew up in an Air Force at a time when it was viewed as an inconvenience to take time off for a sick kid or take time off for a personal appointment. But I think that COVID and some remote work has kind of normalized people intertwining life with work and having a better work-life harmony. And I think that's very healthy, even in the military. Again, there's going to be times you got to be at work. We all know that. But there's also times you got to be at home and take care of those things. And seeing leaders take that time to take care of, sick kids or personal appointments. But hey, they're also there and staying late when you're, crushing it for an inspection. I think it's all very healthy.
It is. I'm going to let you be a little reflective. And if you could change one thing about your leadership journey, what would it be? And what advice would you like to give to some of our listeners, particularly some of the young ones?
So I think one of the things that I would change, and I think that it changed as I got a little bit more mature and increased in rank and saw some people model this better, is collaborate and celebrate versus compete with others when you're younger. We're stronger together than we are as individuals. And as we look at hiring and promoting, and for me, looking at hiring and promoting women, look for that cultural add versus cultural fit. And I've always been a big believer in you can't be what you can't see. So it's important we've got good representation in leadership positions, whether that's based on gender or ethnicity. When younger employees or airmen or soldiers are looking at emerging leaders, they're like, wow, I can be that someday. So I think it's important we support each other as we're seeking these leadership positions, collaborate versus compete. One of my toughest bosses in my career was a woman. And I think some of that was because she saw me as competition, which is so unnecessary. And we need to break that mindset and truly be happy for each other's successes. And I also think it's important we break down some stereotypes which prevent women from, early on studying subjects in school or going into certain career fields. I was blessed to have a dad who was a high school math and science teacher. So he had me work at the kitchen table with my brothers, doing our math homework. And it was natural for me to pursue math as my college major. But at the time, I was the only math female in my major. It's gotten a lot better. I think we see a lot more females in these STEM positions, but I think we need to continue to break down some implicit biases that, women shouldn't pursue these kind of things. So I'm the kind of person when I see NASA shirts in the boys section at Kohl's, I take a few of them and I move them to the girls section because, it's a little part of what I can do. But so just to summarize, collaborate and celebrate versus compete.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have been speaking with Brigadier General Retired Susan Pietrykowski on WarDocs series 10 Good Minutes on Leadership. Pi, thanks again for being on the show and sharing your leadership wisdom and insights for our listeners. And thank you for your service to our nation.
Oh, it has been an absolute pleasure reconnecting with you, General Murphy. I am a big fan of WarDocs podcast and super honored that you would have me here. Thank you.
You betcha. You can find more about our guest on our website, wardocspodcast.com, and be sure to rate and review our podcast on your favorite platform and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode.
Thank you for tuning in to WarDocs 10 Good Minutes on Leadership series. We hope you found today's insights valuable and inspiring. To stay connected with Team WarDocs, visit our website at wardocspodcast.com. Follow us on social media for updates, and subscribe to our WarDocs YouTube channel for more engaging content. Your support helps us continue to document the experiences and contributions of military medicine professionals as we honor the legacy and preserve the history of military medicine for the next generation.